39 years. That's how long the average American works before they retire. 39 years of alarm clocks and commutes and bosses and meetings and Sunday night dread. And at the end of all of that, $300 a month. That's what the average retiree actually has to live on from their own savings. $300, not $3,000. 300. Here's what I need you to understand before I show you the rest of these numbers. 1 in 4 Americans has literally $0 saved for retirement. Zero. Not a small amount, not enough. Zero. And I'll show you exactly how that happens. Because if you think it can't happen to you, that's exactly what they thought too. Second thing, there is a specific percentage of your income that is silently guaranteeing you end up broke, and there's a good chance you're already hitting it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it is and how to get off that track. And third, the people you see on Instagram with the new cars and the vacations, I ran the actual numbers. And what I found is going to make you feel a very specific type of way about your Honda Civic. That's all I'm going to say for now. Let's start with income, because you need to know where you stand before we can talk about what's happening to your money. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says the median American worker makes $52,000 a year, about $26 an hour. That's the middle. Half of workers make more, half make less. Now here's the thing. $52,000 sounds like it should be enough. Like you could theoretically make it work on $52,000. The problem is, $52,000 is not what you take home. By the time federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare take their cut, depending on where you live, you're looking at somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000 in your pocket. So that $26 an hour, after taxes, it's closer to $17 or $18. That's before you've bought groceries, before you've paid rent, before you've done anything. You go from thinking you make $26 an hour to realizing you're actually operating on $17. And that gap is where everything starts to break down. Now let's talk about where that $17 an hour goes. Because this is where the American household spending breakdown gets genuinely alarming. The average household spends $5,577 a month. That's $67,000 a year. Think about that against the after-tax income we just talked about. The average worker brings home between $35,000 and $40,000 per year, but the average household spends $67,000 a year, which means either you have 2 incomes in that household, or somebody is not doing the math, or, and this is what the data actually shows, a lot of households are running a monthly deficit and quietly putting the difference on credit cards. Here's how that $67,000 disappears. Housing. $1,885 a month. That's $22,600 a year just to have a roof over your head. And that's the average. If you're in Chicago, Austin, Seattle, New York, Los Angeles, you're probably already laughing at how low that sounds. Transportation, $913 a month. Nearly $11,000 a year just to move yourself from place to place. Add those two together and you're already at $2,800 before you've eaten a single meal, bought a single item of clothing, or touched your phone bill. Food runs $691 a month. Healthcare, personal care, entertainment, clothing, all of that stacks on top. By the time the average household is done spending, there is almost nothing left. And that almost nothing is what people call their savings rate. Here's the stat that stopped me cold when I found it. The Bureau of Economic Analysis says Americans save 6% of their income after taxes. 6%, that's it. That's the national savings rate. If you're making $40,000 take home, 6% is $2,400 a year, $200 a month. Now think about what people need that $2,400 to cover. A car breaks down, $800. An ER visit, $1,200. A flight for a family emergency, $600. One bad month wipes your entire year of savings. And that's not a worst-case scenario. That's just Tuesday. This is why 40% of Americans say they couldn't cover a $400 emergency without going into debt. $400, not $4,000. $400. That's one car repair, one medical bill, one broken appliance, and almost half the country is one of those events away from their first credit card balance. Which brings me to the credit card number, the one that genuinely made me angry when I saw it. The average household is carrying $9,000 in credit card debt, not a car loan, not a student loan, not debt attached to something that holds value. $9,000 on a card charging somewhere between 20 and 29% interest. You know what 20% interest on $9,000 costs you every year? $1,800. $1,800. Gone. Not spent on anything. Not invested, not saved. Just handed directly to a credit card company as the price of admission for having bought stuff you probably don't even own anymore. Think about the stuff that goes on credit cards. Dinners out, Amazon impulse buys, clothing, streaming subscriptions on top of other streaming subscriptions, Black Friday deals on things you didn't know you needed until an algorithm told you that you did. That's what $9,000 typically looks like. And that $1,800 a year in interest? If you invested that instead, every year for 30 years at a 7% average return, you would have $181,000. $181,000. Not from earning more, not from finding a better investment, just from redirecting the money you're currently giving away for free. If nobody's ever shown you this math before, hit subscribe right now, because what I'm about to show you is even worse. Here's where the retirement numbers make everything real. The Federal Reserve's most recent survey says the median American retirement account balance is $65,000. $65,000. That's the median. The middle. Half of all Americans with a retirement account have less than that. But here's the part that broke me. 25% of Americans have no retirement account at all. Not a small one. Not an underfunded one. None. 1 in 4 people you know is planning to retire on Social Security alone, assuming Social Security is even still solvent when they get there. For those of you watching who are between 22 and 38, which is most of you, here's your specific number. If you're under 35, the median retirement account balance for your age group is less than $14,000. $14,000. That's not enough to cover 1 year of living expenses for most people in this country. And if that's where you are right now, I need you to understand what happens to $14,000 if nothing changes. The typical person in that bracket is saving roughly 6% of income. On a $52,000 salary, that's about $3,120 a year going toward retirement. Over 30 years, even with compound growth at 7% per year, that gets you to around $290,000 at 65. That sounds decent until you do the retirement math. The standard 4% withdrawal rule on $290,000 gives you $11,600 a year, less than $970 a month, on top of maybe $1,550 a month from Social Security if you're lucky, and the program still exists at full benefits by then. So you're looking at roughly $2,500 a month total in retirement, in today's dollars, which in 30 years of inflation will have the purchasing power of maybe $1,200 today. Now here's the number I promised you at the beginning. The average retiree, someone who worked the full career, did everything they were told, has $88,000 in retirement savings when they stop working. Using the 4% rule, $88,000 generates $3,520 per year. That's $293 a month. You can't rent a room in most American cities for $293 a month. You can't cover your grocery bill. You certainly can't cover the medical costs that come with aging. This is not a rare tragedy. This is the median outcome of following the standard American financial playbook. Here's the part that should make the $293 per month feel even more insane. The Social Security Administration says someone who reaches age 65 can expect to live another 19 to 21 years. So if you retire at 61, which is the average retirement age in the US, you potentially have 25 years of retirement to fund. 25 years is longer than most people's careers up to that point, and the activities you can actually enjoy at 62 are very different from what you can do at 77 or 82. The healthy, mobile, active years of retirement, you get maybe 10 to 15 of them. And every single one of those years, you're living on $293 from your own savings, plus whatever Social Security sends. I want you to sit with that for a second. 39 years of work. Getting up when you didn't want to. Staying late. Dealing with everything that comes with having a job. 39 years. And the reward is $293 a month from your own savings. Okay, I need to stop for a second, because here's the thing about everything I just showed you. None of it had to happen this way. Every single one of those outcomes, the $9,000 in credit card debt, the $14,000 net worth at 34, the $293 per month retirement. Every single one of those is the result of a specific set of financial behaviors that were never taught to us and are actively reinforced by the world around us. Nobody taught you in school that your first car payment was going to set the template for how you thought about debt for the rest of your life. Nobody explained that a credit card company's entire business model depends on you carrying a balance. Nobody showed you what compound interest looks like when it's working against you over 30 years. They just handed you a credit card application at 19 and said good luck. Here's the counterintuitive thing I need to tell you before we get to what you should actually do. Most people in the personal finance space will tell you to invest first and pay off debt second, because the stock market historically returns 7 to 10%, and most debt is only 5 to 6%. It sounds logical. Here's the problem. They're forgetting about credit card debt, because credit card debt isn't 5%, it's 20 to 29%, and there is no investment on earth with a guaranteed 20% return. Paying off a 20% interest credit card is a guaranteed 20% return on every dollar you put toward it. It is literally the best investment you can make if you're carrying that balance. But the financial industry doesn't profit from you being debt-free. They profit from your minimum payments. So they built a framework that keeps you invested while staying in debt. The people who get financially ahead aren't the ones who found the best stock picks or timed the market. They're the people who quietly, methodically, stopped being interesting to financial institutions. No credit card balance to charge interest on. No car payment to service. No lifestyle that requires constant top-ups of new spending. They're boring by American consumer standards. And they're building more wealth in their 30s than most people will accumulate in their entire working lives. Here's the other thing they never tell you. The net worth numbers by age are actually achievable. Median net worth for 45 to 54-year-olds is $168,000. For 55 to 64, it's $212,000. You don't need to inherit anything. You don't need to found a startup. You don't need a six-figure salary. You need to spend less than you earn for long enough that compound interest does the work. That's it. The formula is genuinely that simple. It's just not that easy, because everything about the American consumer environment is designed to prevent you from doing it. The average credit score in America is 715, by the way, which means most people are actually paying their bills on time. The data shows Americans aren't irresponsible. They're just spending every dollar they make and then some, because that's exactly what the system is designed to produce. Higher spending means more economic activity. More economic activity means more tax revenue. More debt means more interest paid to banks. The entire system is optimized for you to spend. Your financial security is not part of that optimization. So what do you actually do? Let me show you exactly. And this isn't save more, invest wisely, believe in yourself, generic advice. These are specific numbers, specific actions, specific timelines, things you can literally start today. Step 1. Know your real number today. Before you do anything else, you need to know your actual net worth. Not an estimate, not a vibe, an actual number. Take 15 minutes tonight and do this. List everything you own with a dollar value. Checking account balance, savings balance, 401k or IRA balance, car value using Kelley Blue Book, any other assets. Then list everything you owe. Credit card balances, student loans, car loan remaining balance, any personal loans. Subtract what you owe from what you own. That number is your starting line. The common mistake here is rounding up on assets and forgetting about debts. Be brutal, be accurate. A lot of people have a number in their head that's way off from reality, usually inflated. The truth might be uncomfortable. That's fine. You cannot navigate to a destination you haven't identified on a map. Step 2. Stop credit card interest this week. If you are carrying a credit card balance, this is your single highest priority financial move. Not investing, not saving for a house, not building an emergency fund to the recommended size. Paying off credit card debt. Here's the specific target, 0 balance. And here's the timeline, as fast as humanly possible. Take every dollar you have beyond a $1,000 cash cushion and throw it at the highest interest card first. That's the avalanche method. If you have multiple cards, minimum payment on all of them. Every extra dollar goes to the highest rate first. The common mistake, treating the minimum payment as handling it. The minimum payment on a $9,000 balance at 20% interest keeps you in debt for over a decade and costs you more in interest than your original balance. You are not handling it. You are feeding it. Do the math. Every month you carry a $9,000 balance at 20% APR. You're paying $150 in interest. That's $150 that generates 0 net worth, 0 return, Zero anything. It's just gone. Redirect that $150 to the principal and the math changes completely. Step 3. Hit 15% savings rate, not 6%. The national average is 6%. Financial advisors recommend 10 to 15% specifically for retirement. And that's on top of short-term savings for emergencies, cars, down payments. The target is 15% of your gross income going to retirement accounts. On a $52,000 salary, 15% is $7,800 a year, $650 a month. Split that between your employer's 401k, especially if they match, because that match is literally free money. Never leave it on the table. And a Roth IRA if you're eligible. The 2024 Roth IRA contribution limit is $7,000. Max it if you can. If you're under 50 and haven't heard of a Roth IRA, the short version is you pay taxes now on money going in, and everything it grows into is tax-free forever. On a 30-year timeline, that tax-free compounding is worth 6 figures compared to a traditional account. The common mistake, waiting until you're in a better place financially to start. There is no better place. Every year you delay costs you compounding growth you can never get back. $1 invested at 25 is worth more than $4 invested at 45 at the same return rate. Start now with whatever you have. Step 4. Build a 3-month emergency fund in a high-yield account. Not a regular savings account paying 0.01%. A high-yield savings account currently paying 4 to 5% APY. 3 months of essential expenses. Rent, utilities, groceries, minimum debt payments. That's your target. Why 3 months specifically? Because the average job search after an unexpected layoff takes 3 to 4 months. 3 months of runway means a job loss is a stressful event, not a financial catastrophe. It's the difference between taking the right next job and taking the only job that called you back. The common mistake, keeping your emergency fund in the same checking account as your spending money. It disappears. Keep it separate, in a different bank if you have to, so the friction of accessing it is high enough that you don't accidentally spend it. Step 5. Beat the median net worth for your age, 1 year at a time. Here's your specific benchmark. Under 35, median net worth is $14,000. Your 1-year target is to be above it. If you're already above it, your 5-year target is $91,000. The median for 35 to 44. These aren't aspiration numbers. They're median numbers. Beating the median means you've moved from the bottom half to the top half. That's not a massive achievement yet, but it's the foundation everything else is built on. The path is linear. Eliminate credit card debt, build emergency fund, hit 15% retirement savings rate, avoid lifestyle inflation as income grows. That last one, avoiding lifestyle inflation, is where most people fail. They get a raise and immediately expand their lifestyle to match. The people who build wealth treat raises as an investment opportunity, not a spending upgrade. If nobody has ever laid this out for you this clearly, subscribe, because in the next video, I'm going to show you the exact number that separates people who retire rich from people who retire broke. And it's not the number you think it is. Let me close the loops I opened at the start of this video. I told you that 1 in 4 Americans has 0 saved for retirement. Here's exactly how it happens. They spend everything they make. Not because they're irresponsible, because nobody ever showed them what 6% savings looks like at the end of 39 years. Now you've seen it. $293 a month. That's the outcome of average. You don't have to be average. I told you there was a specific percentage silently guaranteeing you end up broke. It's 6%. That's the national savings rate. The minimum to not fall behind is 10%. The target to actually build wealth is 15%. Those 3 numbers, 6%, 10%, 15%, are the difference between retiring broke, retiring okay, and retiring early. And I told you the Instagram people were going to make you feel a specific way. Here it is. The average American carrying a new car at $47,000 and $9,000 in credit card debt is net worth negative. The guy in the paid-off 2015 Camry with no car payment, $0 in credit card debt, and a maxed Roth IRA is building more wealth every single month. The Camry wins every single time. That's not an opinion. That's compound interest. In the next video, I'm showing you what happens to your money between age 35 and 45, and why that decade is the most financially dangerous one most people ever live through. The numbers are going to hit different after what you just learned today. If this changed how you see money, subscribe right now, because the next video I'm dropping shows you the number that makes $20,000 look like the tutorial level. And you're going to want to see it. I'm Max. This is the money stuff they never taught you.